Hi, this is Brad with Baker County Trash Pickup. In today's video, we are adding a tire pressure monitoring system to our tiny garbage truck. So in addition to the readout system itself, this is your actual monitor that you'll be looking at in the truck. It has a mounting bracket for that monitor. I'm actually going to mount mine a little bit differently, so I won't be using that. This is a 12-volt power supply that plugs right into your cigarette lighter or your DC 12-volt outlet in your truck. I appreciate that because while I feel confident tackling most automotive repairs, I've never been able to wrap my head around 12-volt electronics. So the fact that I don't have to hardwire anything, I really appreciate. That makes it a lot easier and simpler for somebody like me who that's out of my skill set. They do have a hardwire kit that you can buy if you want to go that route, but I asked specifically for this one, because I don't know what I'm doing. This is your run of antenna cable. One end connects to your pulse right here. The other end secures into this bracket, which comes with some self-tapping metal screws, and this antenna. Getting the positioning on this right is important because this is the main way that the base unit communicates with the tire sensors. And these are the sensors themselves. They have an integrated battery that you don't replace, so these are completely sealed, and they screw right onto the valve stems. It's a lot simpler and quicker to install this system on your specific vehicle because of the fact that you don't have to take tires off, you don't have to unmount them and then remount them after the installation. It's just a lot simpler to just screw them onto the valve stem from the outside. That's the basic components of the system. Now we'll install them. Inside of our 2024 Isuzu NRR, this is how I'm deciding to mount it. We use this arm to hold our cell phone. That runs Jobber, which is our CRM, the software that we use to run our business. It does all the routing for us and everything, the billing, communication with customers, everything. So this is always going to be taken up when we're working with a cell phone. We just plug that into this USB output on the speaker for power. You can see there's enough room for another one of these mounting plates. So we just have a little different style. These arms, you can get them off Amazon. There's tons of Chinese manufacturers that make them for 10 bucks. So before I permanently mount this anywhere, I want to play around with where I like it. And I think we're probably going to do something like this. Maybe angle it a little bit more towards me like that. You can see we've got two 12-volt options, an old-fashioned cigarette lighter. I don't even know they made those anymore. And then a dedicated 12-volt power plug. Since it's such a short run, we are going to have plenty of slack with the cable that they gave us. You can see there's our 12-volt plug. Here's the end that goes into the pulse. If you really cared about making it nice, maybe you could cut some channels into this fuse box cover and route some of your excess cabling somewhere behind here. I don't really care about it that much for now, but we might do that later. For running the antenna through the firewall, we're going to see if we can chase the existing cabling for our rear view camera setup. That seems to be what would make the most sense. Whether or not it works out that way, we'll find out shortly. I can't be 100% certain, but I believe this is the cable to our rear view camera setup. Now, it looks like there's just enough room in this grommet to pass the antenna through, but only from this end. Doesn't look like this end will work. So we are going to tip the cab and fish this up underneath. First step's done. We got the antenna fed up through the bottom. Antenna cable, I guess, technically. I was trying to figure out how in the world I was going to snake that up. Apparently this whole thing just pops right off, like the whole cluster. So I'm really loving Isuzu right about now because obviously I got to move these things to snake it out, but it's going to make this so much easier. This is what it looks like with this panel off. I'm hoping if we just undo this radio and this little cubby, I'll be able to see where all the wires are going. I think we might be there. I believe with this, we'll have what we need to run that cable. You can see you got lots of access in there. Hopefully I'll be able to figure out where it pokes up through. I've got the antenna cable following some existing cabling, and then I kind of just shoved it up here with one arm underneath and then reached my other hand, my left hand down, and I kind of just felt around until I was able to meet my two fingers. And so then I knew there was a path through. So then I just shoved the cable through, and we'll zoom in, but you can see it right there. So we've got the dash back together. Our Pressure Pro does have some power. Oh dear, that doesn't look like it'll show up good. I'm just gonna make sure all the functions still work. Cruise control is good. PTO works. That's the most important thing. Door locks are good. So it looks like everything I took apart works. This 12 volt power is wired to the key, so I can just leave this plugged in all the time, and that Pressure Pro won't kick on until I flick the key on, which you can hear. I just shut the key off and it died. So that'll be good for power. I don't think it draws much. So our next job is to run the cabling with the existing wiring, which I think I really can't get any kind of view on it right there. And then I think it loops around to the inside of this channel and runs all the way down. I have smashed my head on a few pieces of metal, which is what I always do working on this dumb truck. We're moving along. We've got it coming through the cab, through the firewall. We have it looped around and it's running. This is the cable right here. And then it goes back down and through. So it runs all along here, runs to here. Here's the rest of our cabling. And the instructions call for it to be as close to the rear tires and also pointing down as possible. So, I don't know, I guess it's gotta be like this, doesn't it? I wonder if I could even get away with just running a bolt or two through it like that. I'll figure out the mounting spot and show you. So I drilled one of those bracket holes a little wider. I'm just gonna use one of the existing holes and a bolt. I don't want to permanently drill anything yet because I want to make sure I did everything right. So this top part here gets sandwiched around that bracket and then the antenna screws in there. I'm also going to run some heat shrink tubing around this so that when it's installed, it's going to be very difficult to take apart, but also water shouldn't be able to interfere with any of these metal pieces here, especially where it threads in. As it stands currently, the way that I monitor our tire pressure in the garbage truck is before every work day, I run my air compressor around to each of the 6 tires. And while I wouldn't say it's difficult or overly time consuming, it is 5 minutes that I have to spend on my hand and knees touching the tires of a garbage truck. So I wouldn't say it's my preferred way to spend 5 minutes every day. The real issue with not having a TPMS, tire pressure monitoring system, on the garbage truck is that I can't see real time what the tires are doing. With as heavy as my Isuzu garbage truck is, even when it doesn't have trash in it, but especially when it's got a full load, tires are a really important safety thing that I need to know what's going on with. The other thing is that if I'm making multiple trips to the landfill each day or each week or whatever time period, it's entirely possible that my tires are suffering some sort of injury at the landfill while we're emptying, and if I don't have a monitoring system, I'm not going to know it until I realize we have a flat somewhere on the route, which isn't ideal. Obviously, it's not safe. So that's why I'm real excited for this little guy. Pressure Pro is the company who makes this. They have a ton of different use cases. They have a lot of different monitoring systems. This is the Pulse. This is the one that is going to be installed in my truck. You can even just use your smartphone and an app that they have to communicate with the tire sensors. But it's a pretty straightforward system. Unfortunately, I got just too small and way too big, so the heat shrink idea is not going to work for now. Maybe we'll just do some electrical tape for now. Finally in the cab with some AC, which is nice. So now we have the setup screen, so we're going to do our time and date. So we've set the date and time. Now we have a no sensors menu for setup button. So we're going to hit the menu button and select sensors, and then we're going to go to add sensor. You can select the different vehicles. We only have the one, so we're going to select that. So there's all different kind of settings you can pick from. You can see them here. Obviously the one we need is the 6-wheel, 2-axle, 2-4. We're going to select that. So we're going to select our first left, and then we just need to attach the sensor. And that sensor has been found. We can see our PSI readout. So we'll go ahead and select OK, and then we'll repeat the same thing for the other 5 sensors. You can scroll through all the tires. We can also set alerts to let us know when something is low. It's a few days later and it does look like the setup, the way I have it, will work fine for my needs. As always, I'll give you guys long-term updates as we get further on and share my thoughts. How does that antenna hold up at the landfill? All that kind of stuff. If you've got more questions, as always, the best way to get a hold of me is just shoot me an email. My address is down in the description, as well as information on Pressure Pro, so you can go check out all their different use cases, all their different products, and see if you do need a tire pressure monitoring system, if what they offer will work for you. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.